Probably each and every one of you have a loved one who is suffering or has struggled with cancer or diabetes or heart disease or maybe a psychiatric disorder. One of the most pressing problems of today is how we're going to solve those problems and alleviate those health concerns for our loved ones. Cornell is on the cutting edge of trying to tackle precisely those kinds of problems. And in the process, we're making all kinds of discoveries that we had never before imagined. In my own lab, we are studying human genomics. That word genomics essentially means the study of human DNA, the full stretch of DNA from start to finish, 3 billion chemical bases long. Around the turn of the millennium is when the first draft of the human genome was published, and it was an exciting time. We had sequenced the human DNA, but what did it mean? And how could we understand it so as to be able to prevent genetic diseases like psychiatric conditions, diabetes, cancer, and heart disease, right? One of the most amazing discoveries in the ensuing studies was the discovery that actually very little of the DNA is made up of genes. Maybe 1 to 2% is genes that actually turn on proteins to do the work in the cells of our body. So what is the rest of it? What's the 98% of the human genome that isn't actually genes? This is the work that my lab is engaged in and many other labs here at Cornell. One of the discoveries is that littered across the genome are what you might call dials or rheostats. They're not genes themselves, but what they're doing is controlling how much a nearby gene is activated. The reason why these dials and rheostats are important is that genes need to be turned on to just the right sweet spot in order for them to have the proper functions in our cells. If they're dialed up a little too much or not turned on enough, that's what can lead to all kinds of dysfunction and diseases in our body. So it's really important to understand these dials, where they are, and how they're malfunctioning. So many complex diseases that our loved ones suffer from trace back to these dials not functioning properly. So in my lab, we're interested in figuring out where all these dials are in the genome, which ones are relevant for what diseases, and hopefully leveraging that information to be able to develop more effective therapies for people that are suffering with these diseases. So this is undoubtedly one of the most exhilarating times to do science. This genomics era that we're in, it's advancing science and medicine at an unprecedented pace. But it also brings with it really serious questions about implications for our society. When I was an undergrad here, I had the unique opportunity to work in a lab that was bridging computational sciences, mathematics and analytics, together with neurobiology. That experience gave me the opportunity to see how powerful it can be to bring two seemingly different fields together to answer questions that are really pressing and important in biology and health. There's a program in Cornell Engineering called the Beauvais Program for Engineering Ethics. This is a fantastic, a really brilliant, one-of-a-kind program that talks about the societal implications and ethical considerations of introducing certain engineering applications and technologies into wider societal use. I'm envisioning that we can do something like this at Cornell, given the culture here, in the life sciences as well. With genomics come all kinds of questions, and we need to be training the next generation of genetics and genomics researchers to be thinking not only about the best science and the potential medical applications, but also about the ethical and societal implications. Oftentimes, as scientists in the world, we are encouraged to take our emotions out of the work that we do. But I argue, and I have a community of people here at Cornell who share this view, that we have to put our emotion back in so that we understand what's at stake. human lives, animal lives. That's what's at stake in the work that we're doing. So it is incumbent upon us as scientists and researchers at Cornell University to take our information and translate it effectively. But not only translate it effectively, to hear from people about their concerns. Cornell is creating a culture where we're not just doing our work in our ivory towers and letting someone else worry about how the rest of the world understands and appreciates it, but rather encouraging us to go out into the community, not just as an outreach mechanism, which is important, but also as a means by which to learn from others who may not be squarely in the walls of Cornell. We've still got a long way to go to get to this idea of sequencing our genome and immediately being able to know exactly what our risk is for a wide variety of conditions. But it's already happening. We're on our way toward that goal of personalized medicine, but it has the potential to really change the world.